Hello and welcome to Lesson 6 of the Grade 5 Online Theory course. So in this lesson we're going to learn about the instruments of the orchestra. We're also going to learn about transposing a melody up or down a major fifth, and we're also going to learn about modulation. So let's go straight into learning about the instruments of the orchestra. So for your forthcoming examination you will need to know all the standard orchestra instruments and the clefs that they use. You'll need to know what family of instruments the instruments belong to. You'll also need to know which instruments are transposing instruments and be able to name and transpose for that particular instrument. So obviously there's 4 standard families of instruments in an orchestra. You've got your string family, which obviously is going to be the violins, the viola, the cello and the bass. Then you've got the instruments that produce a sound when they hit or shake a particular instrument, and that's known as the percussion section of the orchestra. You've also got the woodwind section, and you've also got a brass section. So let's go straight into the stringed section first, and you'll see that there's certain specific things that you need to know about strings, like the up bow sign and the down bow sign. You need to know that the violin uses treble clef, the viola uses alto clef, the cello uses alto clef, bass clef and treble clef, and double basses use the bass clef. Then you've got your woodwind section, and again the clefs are shown here. So you've got the flutes using treble, oboes, remember that's a double reeded instrument and uses treble. The clarinet, a single reeded instrument that uses treble, but it's also a transposing instrument, and you get clarinets in B flat and clarinets in A. There's also the bassoon, which is a double reed instrument, and it uses the bass, alto and treble clefs. And finally, the cor anglais, which is a double reed instrument and is also a transposing instrument. Into the brass section you've got the trumpets, which is also a transposing instrument, the French horn, again a transposing, that uses both treble and bass clefs. The trombone uses treble and bass clefs, and of course the tuba, which uses the bass clef. So percussion, you've got pitched percussion and unpitched percussion. Pitched examples are xylophone, glockenspiel, and unpitched you're looking at a tambourine, etc. So you've got a little quiz here, several questions to answer. So it says name 3 instruments that use a treble clef, name a double reed transposing instrument, name a transposing brass instrument, name 3 unpitched percussion instruments, name an unpitched percussion instrument, name an instrument that uses a single reed, name a woodwind instrument that has a reed, name an orchestral instrument that uses pizzicato, name the lowest sounding brass instrument, and what clef does this instrument use? Let me have a look at how some of these transposing instruments might transpose. And you may be asked to do this in the examination. So for your examination you're required to transpose music up or down a major fifth, as if transposing for instruments like the French horn or the cor anglais. So look at this extract that's in the key of C major. If we were to transpose this up a major fifth, it will still be the same melody, the same intervals, but it will be in a new key. So the 5th key up from C is G major, hence the fact you've got your new key signature there. And then after that, you just write all the notes, seating them a fifth up. So you've got, quite a few little sort of tips to help you along the way on this. So it gets more difficult when transposing up or down a major fifth. So here are some tips to help you. Look at the melody, which is scored in the key of G major. Tip 1. Transpose the key signature. Transpose the key signature from C major up a major fifth, so we need to work out what the new key signature is. To do this, count up 5 notes in the scale. Tip 2. Transpose the notes. Transpose all the notes down an interval of a fifth, so we don't need to worry about the accidentals. Yeah, you will still see that will be sorted in the next stage. So tip 3, add any accidentals that are extra. So in this example there are no extra accidentals, but if there was a sharp or a flat written in, you make sure you put it in the actual transposition. So then you're given the opportunity to transpose a melody up a major fifth on the stave, and also a chance to transpose a melody down a major fifth, but this time it has accidentals in it. Okay, the next stage is talking about modulation. So modulation is an important sounding word which means change of key. So modulation can happen with or without a change in key signature. In fact, modulations don't require a change of key signature. So generally the key signature is only changed if the modulation is significantly long within a piece of music. In most cases a piece will modulate but will just put accidentals in to show the new key. So modulation is shown by changing tonality, which may or may not be accompanied by a change in key signature. So for your forthcoming examination you're required to identify the modulations that you might find in a piece of music. So if you have a look at this example, Stanley plays centigrade as it's called, the biggest being's in the key of D major, then it modulates to the dominant key of A major at bar 8, and that's why you start to see G sharps popping in. And then if you look closely you'll notice the additional G sharp starts to appear in the piece. So it's that causes the modulation. Then you've got another example here that you have with some questions, with general questions with it as well. So a piece of music, it says, what does allegretto mean? In which bar does a modulation occur? What key has the new piece modulated to? What does con fuoco mean? And explain the 3 there. And that completes lesson 6.